On days like today, you know, you want to get out there and take those beautiful pictures of the snow. Maybe your kid's making a snow angel, but it can be kind of challenging sometimes. Local photographer Don Niemen is here to give us some tips on taking the perfect winter picture. Thanks, Don, for joining us.
Perfect.
I have to admit, sometimes I take more pictures on my iPhone than I do with a camera. But on days like today, when you really want to take those beautiful pictures, trust your camera. The equipment can be key.
The equipment can be key, but you need a camera that works. But really taking the picture, you have that ability. What we have here in Buffalo, we seem to have winters where it gets a tad cold, and we get a bit of snow every once in a while. That means we have to take care of our equipment and ourselves, and we have to pay attention of how our camera looks at the scene. One of the things that I think is important, even though we are Western New Yorkers and we know how to dress for the cold, but when you go out to take those pictures, stay warm. Keep comfortable, because you can't take good photographs if you're uncomfortable. Then take care of your equipment, because a couple of things are going to happen in the equipment. When it's cold like that, your batteries are going to die earlier.
That's true, yeah.
Also, when you bring your camera in from the cold, it's liable to experience condensation.
Okay.
What I do, I always carry 2 batteries in my camera anyway, and then I have 2 batteries in my pocket all the time, keeping warm, so that I don't lose power. And then when I bring my camera in from the cold, I have a plastic bag that I put over that plastic cover. Before, when I bring it, I put it over the camera before I go into the warm environment. That will keep the camera cold and keep it from condensing when I go in.
That's great advice. I would have never have thought of that. Now, our eye naturally sees so many variations in the white of the snow, but for a camera, all that whiteness can be blinding and lead to overexposure. How do we combat that?
Well, it actually leads to an underexposure in summer, and because it's so bright that your camera's going to underexpose. So you need to overexpose a little bit for it. I usually go to 1 to 1.5 EV exposure values above overexposed to take snow pictures. But if you can set that on your camera, you can't always set that, but you can to get the white and the contrast. You can deal with post-processing also. Okay. That's why I always use a camera that I shoot RAW rather than JPEG format. When I shoot RAW, it's not a condensed version on your disc that you get. It's the real shot that you took with the camera without the processing within the camera. And that enables you to do more with your photo in post-processing, in the software you use for post-processing.
You know, I took a photography class way back in the day, many moons ago, and of course we were still on film back then, but the digital revolution in photography, does that give us more options? Does that allow us more ability to work with it both during and afterwards to make great pictures?
Absolutely. Absolutely it does. I think making it easy for us has helped the explosion in digital photography. It's easier. The folks who have been doing this a long time and worked with the darkroom didn't have all the advantages of digital post-processing software. I use Photoshop Elements. I use a Canon software, Digital Pro Professional. And I use Photo Matrix, which is a high dynamic range software.
You know, when I think about trying to get pictures of my daughter sledding down the hill, sometimes those action shots can be really hard to capture as well as I want to capture them. What are some tips to help us capture those? Well,
I think that's one of the advantages of the winter, is that because it's so bright, you can have a really, really fast shutter speed. That'll enable you to capture those kind of photographs.
Look at that. That's great.
That in fact you can stop the action right in midair. I don't know if there was a photograph on here before too. There was of coming down the toboggan chute. Oh, it's a little out of, but a little distorted in that picture. But we stop the action right, and you can see the snow, and that winner allows you, because it's got so much light, and you use the fast shutter speed and can capture that.
Well, I think that's great. You have inspired me to get off of my phone and actually use a camera, because it does allow us to take such incredible pictures, better than you're going to snap on your little mobile device.
You need a camera. Just take pictures, have fun.
I know. Thanks, Don. I appreciate it. Now we're going to check in with Lauren for our .com.